I don't know Long Island. I've never been to Long Island. My knowledge of Long Island basically is from the movie Sabrina.
Well, if you got a dollar, well, just lousy down. You know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine.
Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. Welcome to my channel. I am doing a quick haul video because today was the first day I've actually been able to attend the local flea market in months. Just with scheduling, with travel, things get in the way. The Kane County Flea Market is in St. Charles, Illinois. I've been going to this flea market for years, long before I started reselling, usually buying things just for myself or for gifts. And it only happens one weekend a month. It's always the, the first Sunday of the month and the preceding Saturday. So if the first of the month is actually, if the first Sunday is the first, then this flea market actually takes place on the last day of the previous month and then the first. It's kind of confusing, but you get used to it. And just for the last couple of months, I haven't been able to go. So this time I suddenly found myself free and I went by myself and absolutely had a blast. It was very, very cold. So the outdoor vendors pretty much weren't there. So it was a lot smaller than it is if you tend to go in the summer. But some of my favorite vendors were there, and I spent quite a bit of time shopping their booths and catching up on what I've been missing over the last several months. So the first thing that I picked up, these were actually going to stay in my personal collection. If you've seen my videos in the past, I did a Trusty's Vintage Deep Dive about maybe a year or two ago with Sam from Dining at Sea. And we talked about his collection, which is the sole reason I started collecting menus from cruise ships. And so I picked up my first menu from the SS President Harding. I like these styles of menu, even though they're not as artistic as some of the others, because the way I want to try and frame them, you can see that it's an actual menu. You actually see the food. And this one has SS President Harding, has the captain's name. It also has the date. It is Tuesday, August 28th, 1928. So it's not the oldest one that I have, but it goes, I'm only really picking up the older ones. I really would like pre-World War I, but definitely pre-World War II. And the fact that this one, it was one of the older ones, is in pretty good condition. There's some discoloration to it, but it hasn't been folded or anything. And it's all very clear that it would look great framed. I definitely wanted to add that to my collection. This one, to a certain extent, I'm not going to have buyer's remorse. I still think it's a cool addition, but I need to not build collections as much. And this one, first of all, it's just a very cool postcard. You can see, I have my hand kind of going through, there's die cuts in it. And it does actually happen to be a menu. Now there's a subcategory of cruise ship menus that I do really like. They are where the menu is printed kind of on a small format. And then the very top is a postcard sized postcard that you can tear off and either tear it off and mail that in, or sometimes the entire menu folds into itself and there's little flaps and you glue it, you kind of like paste them down. And then that becomes like a little envelope that you send home like a postcard. And I love those a lot. They're usually very graphic. They're also very relatively small. Sometimes menus get, even this one, you start getting things of that size, you can only frame, I have a poster size frame, you can only fit so many in a frame. So the smaller ones are nice. So I was looking at one of my favorite ephemera vendors and looking at their postcard or looking for their menus. And I asked if they had postcard menus and we found this one. Now, unfortunately, this is not a ship menu. It's the Grand Hotel, but I decided I had to have it because it was dated 1890. I got my cheaters on here. 1893. So I'm a sucker for anything 19th century. The graphics on this are amazing. It's from the 1st of July. It's German. If you watch my channel, you know that all things German and Austrian are big in this household. So I added it to my collection. It's not a cruise ship menu, but it's very cool. It's also very small. So even if I don't frame it, I can, put it in. I still have to figure out how I need to take pointers from Sam again. I don't know how he organizes all of his. The ones that aren't framed are just sitting in a drawer right now, and I think I need to do better than that. But these were the two that I picked up. Those are mine, so those are not for sale, but enjoyed picking those up. The other thing I picked up from that vendor, I couldn't pass up this little set of, they're actually bridge tally cards. So they've got the little tally thing on the back for playing bridge, but got the little yarn. They're actually blank on the inside. So they could be gift tags. So I don't know if these were set up as gift tags also, so you could play bridge at Christmas. I'm not sure if that was a thing, but it looks like even though the original packaging isn't included, you can see there's like this little cellophane wrapper. I do think that's original that was taped on. So I think these are, vintage little markers. These will just go into my booth. There's not a huge value to these, but I thought they were cute. And everyone loves vintage Christmas, and I am trying to put Christmas in my brick and mortar booth. So that's where those are going to show up. So I was excited to add that. And then the rest that I picked up was, I was at the flea market for almost 4 hours and pretty much spent all my time in 2 booths. That one, and the bulk of it was in this one. Now I walked around to some others and I skimmed, but for heavy duty shopping, and found some great pieces. And we're going to kind of pick through because there's a lot. So for starters, we'll just start with the stack. So this is the stack. So I'm going to kind of go through. There's some, I'm not going to say there's a rhyme or reason. What this booth does, and is one of my favorite vendors to go to, where the menus and where I got the bridge markers, they are a fantastic ephemera vendor as well. Theirs is a little bit more, I don't know if curated is the right word, but they've actually gone through everything. They've taken their photographs and put them into individual sleeves. They've taken the postcards and put them in individual sleeves. They've organized them. They've priced them accordingly. When I buy from them, I'm typically buying for myself. They know what everything is worth. Sometimes I can get a little bit of a discount or a little bit of a deal. You buy enough stuff, you can make a little bit of a package out of it. But for the most part, when I'm buying from them, I am buying for myself. The little bridge cards were like a little bonus that I threw in there. This other guy that I go to, and I remember, Don or Dan, I wrote him a check today, and I can't remember his name. I've gone to him for years. He's always in the same location in the corner. He just has boxes of stuff. And I was there for over an hour just digging through his boxes of stuff. It is the best part of going to the flea market for me, because I love walking around, I love being with friends and whatever, but if I'm with friends, they tend not to want to shop to the depth sometimes that I want to shop, and so then I miss things. So some of the things, I'm going to go through some of them fairly quickly because there's one specific section I want to show. So I picked up things like this from him before. This is a Union booklet. So this is from William Britton of Chicago, born 1923. This is his Union Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America dues book, dated 1954. So these are all of his dues from 1954, date of payment, secretary's signature. It's just a kind of a cool little snapshot. This one's really nice because it's actually in a little paperboard book. Not a huge lot of value to these, but there are people that collect them and they are kind of fun to resell. And it's a lot of times, and nothing he has would he ever dump into a landfill, but it's one of those cases, and I'll go into it more detail as I get to the bigger chunk. In some cases, I do feel like I'm rescuing this and trying to put things in the right hand. There's somebody who likes to collect Union stuff or likes to collect Carpenter stuff, likes to collect whatever, that I want to make sure this gets in the right hand. If I only make a couple of bucks, I only made a couple of bucks, but it saves this for the future. As I mentioned previously with the menu, all things German, all things Austrian, big hits in this household. I ended up coming across a bunch of weird German stuff, just odd German stuff. It's not weird. It's just, random German stuff. So this one, I have a feeling now is not as old as I had hoped it was, because when I first picked it up, it has a date stamp on it, July 20th, 95. And so I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't think it doesn't look old enough to be 1895, and it looks older than it's 1995. So I don't know actually what that 95 refers to, but I have a feeling it is 1995. Like a really weird history lesson. I'm trying to go through, it is some sort of transit ticket information, shipping information between Germany and Stockholm. So the booklet is actually written in both German and Swedish. I speak neither, but sometimes you can figure things out in numbers and things like that. Well, oh, kilograms. Oh, okay, then this must be relatively recent because it's kilograms. Well, it turns out Germany accepted or adapted the metric system in the late 19th century. So even if this is 1895, I want to say the date was 1892 or something was when they adopted it. So it's possible, like even going into kilograms, I thought that'd make it contemporary. No. So it's just a cool little piece. Again, not going to have a huge dollar amount. It's just, these are the types of things that I think are fun to sell and great for little vignettes, great for, travel collections, just things, if somebody's into a German background, Swedish background, it's just a fun little graphic piece to have. These are really popular, so this I need to be able to sell fairly quickly because this actually is I guess the definition, mid-century modern Christmas card, because it's dated 1954, I think is what that says. Either 54 or 57. So I've asked my resident German expert, my daughter, to help translate a couple of the things. But it's basically, it's a Christmas and a New Year card. If you can see on the front, there's actually little stones on it, some glitter in the tree. It's got its onion paper that the big sheet folded into fourths, like those style of Christmas cards were. So super, 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 super thin. And what I found fascinating about everything, whoever sent this didn't sign it. It just says Wiedersehen. No, basically just says goodbye. Doesn't say who they are. So, I think it was addressed to somebody named Teresa. That was one of the things I've asked my daughter to help translate. But it's even just from my remedial German, which is almost non-existent, I can just, it's, wishing you all the best, good luck, things like that. It's just a very long Christmas card. So, but the design is actually very pretty. So that I picked up is a little German lot, a little German good luck coin, the little Pfennig coin with the 4 aces, wishing good luck. This booklet that from the artwork, it looks late 19th century, but it's in really, really good condition. And I was trying to go through it to figure out, well, is there anything in here that references the date? There's no copyright or any information, so they didn't make it easy on me. So one of the things, I sent my daughter a picture. I know that this font, she'd mentioned this one time when we were looking at something else, that this font ended up being, they stopped using it because the S's look like F's, like, that style of font. And I asked her when that was, and she said that was World War II. So this is pre-World War II. And then I found there's one image right here of Pickelhaube helmet, which stopped being used in 1916. So it could be early 20th century. Not sure. It's in pristine condition. I mean, to the point, like, why is this a reprint? But I don't think it is. Unfortunately, somebody put their name on the front of it. Bilderkranz is the name of the booklet. And it's a little storybook that also appears to possibly be teaching English because there's these pictures in the middle and it says, Das ist ein, and then there's a blank to name the fox. So it might be like a vocabulary book. And then Das ist ein, and then there's a blank for the dog. This is Der bites Ove. And then Das ist ein, and then there's a crane. So I don't know if they rhyme, because I don't know what a name of a deer is. I don't know what a name of, I'm sorry, what child even knows what that is? Unless it's a bird. Ein Schwein, I don't know. So some workers, same thing. So the artwork is very, very cool. I'd hate to see this cut apart, but there's some beautiful pieces that even if you just framed these pages, I think this is really pretty. A little bit of discoloration here on the back, but the spine's in really good condition. It's more spring colors, so it's not really a Christmas item, but this will probably end up going up on eBay, and hopefully we'll find, again, finding the right place to get the right home. So that was my German lot. Then I kind of stumbled down a little rabbit hole of real estate ventures. So well, let me start with the easy ones. Okay, so these I picked up because they're related. And this, again, kind of gets down to why I bought so much from this guy. He has boxes of all these papers, and he obviously does estate closeouts or something, but he only does paper. He doesn't do anything else. So somehow he gets all these papers. He then sells them based on what people are interested in buying. Nothing is priced. You have to ask for prices. And so these 3 pieces were all in the box loose individually. This one is obviously older than these 2 because these 2 are typed and this one is handwritten. And it's handwritten with what appears to be iron gall ink. It's, so it's an older ink. So this is dated, because the ink appears to be rusting. This is dated 1897. So we've got some age on this. And it is a warranty deed for William F. Seavey and wife to a Henry L. Trump. So we've got a Trump deed from the 19th century. Well, Henry L. Trump took that same property and deeded it on later. So we've got this one dated 1916, and this one dated 1924. So I haven't cross-referenced to see if the actual plots match, but clearly this ended up being kind of a family thing. So there's 1897, 1916, then 1924. I didn't want to see these get separated. So I will try and sell these together. Maybe somebody's interested in the Trump family. I'm not commenting on that. This is the Trump family of Ogle County, Illinois. So it's just one of those cases, if the property, local interest, even historical societies, these should stay together because they are related. So I did buy all 3 of these. Similarly, this was actually the first item I picked up because check out the script on this. This is another one that, it's not really rusting, but you can see some of the way the calligraphy has been done. I have a piece of art that I'm currently getting restored that is done with this same type of flourish, like the little scroll work here. It's called flourish. This is just a beautiful document. It's just, fancy penmanship. It is from Amos Martin and wife to John J. Applegate, originally dated 1866 and then dated later 1868. The document itself was signed on 1869. So the document was created in 1869. It has the seal on it for the state of New Jersey. It's just a very cool piece. Less impressive is this piece, which actually is related to this one. Again, these were going to get separated. So I bought them both. So what this one is a letter from, basically a letter from the notary saying, okay, I've done all the digging for all the names that have been associated with this and with this property, and I cannot find a mortgage ever issued against the property. So basically it's like the bank saying, there's no lien on this property, it can be sold. This is selling the property. It's actually issuing a mortgage against the property. So this one is from William Applegate and wife to an Ellis A. Apgar, dated 1869. So right after the document was created saying that there was basically no lien on the property, they were able to create the mortgage to Ellis Apgar, dated 1869. It ended up getting canceled in 1870, so he must have paid it off. And so it's just a nice, very formal indenture. It's got the tax stamp at the top. just a very cool document. Unfortunately, it looks like it might have once had a wax seal that somebody has torn off. Or it just, it's not, or maybe maybe the hole's related. I'm not sure why there's a hole here. So this is a cool piece by itself. This is a cool piece by itself, but they're even cooler together, particularly if you happen to live in Mercer County, New Jersey. So pick those up, and those are now going to stay together. But what I struggled with the most is now the rest of the stack, because the rest of the stack has some individual pieces that are fascinating. And what they all are is they are all related to landscaping. Okay, not the most fascinating topic, but you've got some really cool billheads. So you've got letterhead of this one. So this is from Ransom Nurseries and Greenhouses, A. Hance and Sons, Nurserymen and Florists, Peach Trees and Ornamental Stock Specialties, from Monmouth County, New Jersey. This is dated 1874. And it says, Friend Isaac Hicks, favor of the 24th, something at hand, something, our place, take something on New Jersey State Railroad for Seabright, not Red Bank. So it's like instructions of how to get there, I guess. Please, if have not time to advise us of the train, take something which passes the door. Stage, which passes the door. These are all letters from, so this one was from the Ransom Nurseries. This is the Syracuse Nurseries. This is the Manhattan Manufacturing and Fertilizing Company. All of these documents, Charles A. Little Hardware, Cutlery, Edge Tools, they are all related to an Isaac Hicks. And Isaac Hicks evidently owned Westbury Nurseries in Queens County, New York, Long Island, in Old Westbury, Long Island. So there are just all these letters, sometimes very detailed letters. This one is dated 1874, written to Isaac Hicks, signed by David Pettit. All of these documents are all talking about getting landscaping done at their place. So fairly mundane, theoretically. But one of the documents, and this is the one that made me start thinking, one of them is from it's on letterhead, a law office letterhead that is from the Taft law firm. From the office of Taft, Lee and Company. Okay, so I don't know it's a law firm, but from the office of Taft, Lee and Company. It is dated 1874. So you've got this very cool penmanship. And then it looks like there's another letter got laid across it, because you can see it's almost like a secret code letter written in the background. Someday I might have to try and figure that out. But this one, this is, like I said, this one is what made me really start thinking about not wanting to see all of these documents broken apart. Because this was signed by what I believe to be James H. Taft, P.O. Box 1116 in New York, obviously from the office of Taft, so that is the Taft. And he's talking about how he lost the guy's catalog. Please let me know at what price per tree you would set out a sufficient number of shade trees for both sides of the new road at Hyde Park, resuming something north of the Jericho Turnpike. I have no idea where that is. Near the house occupied by Mrs. Ansel Conklin. I have a feeling there's some significance to that name. As far as my land extends north, say about 3/4 of a mile. Dude, how much land do you own that you on a landscape? So this guy has property, and he is not buying a tree. He's buying enough trees to line a turnpike that runs 3/4 of a mile. I would like your opinion as to the best kind of trees, how near together they should be, and your lowest estimate as to cost and how long you would warrant them. Mr. Conklin recommended me some time since to go with him to visit your nurseries, but I had no favorable opportunity. Perhaps he may have spoken to you about these at that time. Yours respectfully, James H. Taft. So is this related to Howard Taft, the president? I don't know. This is 1874, so this is before Taft became president. Now, Taft himself is from Ohio. Taft probably isn't that uncommon of a name, but this dude owns a lot of land. And so it's like, this is, and we're also on Long Island. And I'm from the Midwest. I don't know much about Long Island, except I just assume everyone there is rich. So this all has some representation of probably some important properties, probably maybe some famous properties. I wanted to cross-reference this, and there was no way I was going to be able to do all of this sitting in his booth. And it was like, this one was going to get sold. Check out this billhead. It's just super cool. And then you've got, like, it looks like a big Christmas tree on there. I mean, this is just a cool piece of, like, for people that are into ephemera, this is just a cool piece. Like, this is him buying from Germantown Nurseries in 1873. He bought, okay, someone who really knows trees might understand but he bought 100 macrophyllum. He bought Diospyros virginiana. He bought a lot of Latin. Send Today by something and a railroad. Like, so this is just, like, when we're getting into 19th century stuff, I just think that's cool. And the research that can be done for some of this, I just think is so fun. Like, this is a receipt. Like, I think I have a fun signature. Check out that dude's signature. Like, he's like, everyone is going to see my signature. He was inducted. I still can't quite figure out what he was inducted into, but he got some award from the Queens County Agricultural Society. So there's a letter announcing it at a meeting of the House of Managers of the Queens County Fruity. There was appointed judge, that shows up a lot too. The was appointed judge furniture illusionist instruments. Yeah, I'm sure that's not right. For an annual fair to be held October 8th and 9th, hoping thee will accept and return affirmation, answered whatever, something. There was the Willett signature again, Esquire. I mean, look, hello, let's underline my signature with a big squirrely. This is just cool. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all this. I mean, there's just tons of these letters, and most of them are like, can I buy a tree? So, Bathsheba Wilson. I don't know. That seems like somebody that should be famous. Your name is Bathsheba. Mount Pleasant, Ohio. Dear friend, Isaac Hicks. Thine of some 10th. Okay. Chapman, nurseryman and importer of trees. We've got envelopes. We've got little tiny receipts. This monthly statement from the Westbury Nurseries dated 1874. James Thompson bought 6 Bartletts and 6 Sequels. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's a bush. We've got R.P. Jeffrey and Son, Queens County, Long Island. Some of it I just find fascinating. So this is 1874. Look at the blue lines on it. It looks like old-fashioned school paper that I grew up with. I didn't know they did that in the 19th century. So this is just fun. So like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'll probably do a video, maybe put this all in order and piece it together. Maybe I'll do a video just for this. I'll eventually sell it. I have absolutely no interest in developing my personal collection of Isaac Hicks landscaping business, but I think it needs to be documented first. And I just want to trace some of the names, some of the people, you know, just some of the properties that are just discussed, and just see if there's any connection to something kind of bigger. So I will say I somewhat paid up for this. If you break it down per piece, it wasn't too bad. I probably paid like roughly $1 a piece of paper, but some of the papers are just like a little tiny receipt. Now others are a lot more sophisticated. But there's a lot of paper here, so it was somewhat of an investment. So I definitely want to get that investment back. But I thought that was fun, and I wanted to share it. So that's everything. At the time I've done this video, I have not put any of this online. Obviously, some of these things are going to go up on eBay, as I mentioned. I'm going to do a little bit of digging on the Hicks family. If anyone has any insight or even suggestions of the best way to do that, because I don't know the area, and that's the downside. I'm doing another project with another, actually a real estate guide that I picked up that's got all these listings from the 60s and 70s, but it's of the local area. So I can drive by some of those houses and figure out, you know, a fun way to do it. I don't know Long Island. I've never been to Long Island. My knowledge of Long Island basically is from the movie Sabrina. So I'm making some assumptions that are maybe completely wrong, but I still think it's interesting. I still think it's a time capsule, and it is something I think even when I sell it, I will probably try and sell it as a whole, and hopefully someone will want to pick it up for what it contains. Maybe, you know, maybe some of these nurseries still exist and I can, you know, take that approach. Who knows? But appreciate you watching the video. I don't know how often I'll be doing. These are the types of videos that I like to do. You know, and I've got to figure out what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. I've kind of walked away from it for a little bit because of travel for work and community theater. Those are still happening, but it's kind of it's all starting to balance itself out. So I may not be doing regular videos, but when I can, I want to do videos that I enjoy making. And I had a great time picking these things up, and I had a great time sharing them with you. So I appreciate you giving me your time, and I appreciate you putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Well, show me a sign if you're wishing me to stay. Otherwise, I say goodbye and finish out the day. And that sunrise in the morning and you got nothing to say. Oh, that's when I'll be headed on my way.